Good evening, folks. We are Portadi, and we're building a cloud service that helps you manage, control, and monitor access to cloud applications. I'm Dusan. I'm a co-founder of Portadi. We're a technology company, so I brought with me a wonderful piece of technology. His name is Tomaz. He also happens to be my co-founder. So before we begin, I want to tell you a little bit more about sort of what led up to starting Portadi. In my prior life, I had a team of about 16 people inside and another about 20 people outside that we hired to do as freelancers to do various kinds of work. And in my team, which was the marketing team, we were using about 50-ish cloud applications. Some of them infrequently, some of them daily, but it was a pretty large stack. So like every single time I hired somebody new, I had to essentially send 50 usernames, 50 passwords, 50 URLs for all of these services, and some explanation to the new person, which kind of sucked, but it was okay. What really, really frustrated me was when somebody actually left the team or the project that we were working on, and I was then faced with a question like, what do I do? You know, do I go to those 50 different places? Do I delete those accounts? Do I change passwords? It was super frustrating. So that was sort of the fundamental principle on which we built Portadi. Like, how can we solve this issue? Can we do something about it? And and can we answer the question that I was never ever be able to answer? Like, who exactly has access to all of those cloud applications? Because I had 50 people or 20 people, and then some of them needed access to some of those applications, but not all of them. And it was so hard for me to know at any given moment, like, who exactly has access to what. By cloud applications, I mean things like things that we were using, like MailChimp and Zendesk and Salesforce and Vimeo and YouTube, and the list was just endless. So let's take a look at what it actually looks like. This is the admin view of Portadi. What you're seeing here is my users that I have, and I also have the applications in here. At the top, you see the apps that are mine, that I don't share with anybody. But down below are apps that we use in our team. Those are the team apps that the team needs access to. So let's take a look at MailChimp, for example. So this is our company MailChimp account, and over here I can see that these three guys were given permission to use that app. I gave it to them, and so right here you can add and delete people. But and this is sort of a per app view. But we thought, wouldn't it be really, really cool if we could do that for the entire stack and the entire company? And that's why we built the access matrix. And this is it. So I have my users over there and my apps up there. And in this single view, I'm able to answer that question, like, who has access to what? So let's take Carla, for example. And so right from here, if I need to give her access, I can grant access to MailChimp to Carla right in here. And let's take a look at what her experience is. So we're going to log out from the admin view and log in as Carla. And what she sees are the three things that I set up for her. MailChimp is one of them. And now, essentially, all it takes for her to start using MailChimp is a single click. So when she clicks on that, I never gave her a username or password for this app or a way to get in. I gave her essentially a cloud SSO access to that application. So now for the admin, The admin, let's one more thing, which is, so in here, this is the simplified view, the same, it's the, it's the browser extension, the same functionality. You click there and it takes you there. And let's, before we wrap up, you as an admin, you have an overview of all of the things that people were doing with those apps, so you can look up if something went wrong in the activity log. And we also have a usage dashboard, which answers the basic question, like how these apps are utilized. And that helps you answer another important question, which is, if I pay for some of these things, are they actually used? That's all. Get a free account at portadi.com. Thank you so much. Yes.
Is on? No? Okay. Hey. Yeah, thanks. Looks like a really cool app. Maybe I missed one thing. So how does it actually work? Is it like I give you my password to MailChimp and then you manage it for me? Or does MailChimp's API has some user management you can use? Or maybe you tell us a little bit about that. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. So the technology that we're using is generally known as form-based authentication. So what we're essentially doing, what you didn't see or what the user doesn't see, is that we take the user through the login dialog. We hide it, but we essentially fill out the login form on behalf of the user and push them in. Yes, obviously. Yeah.
I had the same questions about the passwords. So we must trust Portadi for our passwords, actually.
I'm sorry, say again.
We must trust Portadi for our passwords because we are typing all our passwords in your interface. Don't understand?
The answer is yes. Yes. I'm sorry.
Hello. Hi, so if I'm managing two teams with two different Dropbox accounts where I don't want both teams to have the same data, do you have ways of managing multiple instances of the same cloud app and ways of differentiating from the manager's perspective who has access to which instance?
The answer is yes. It's we don't have a concept of teams per se, but you can have multiple versions of the same app, so you can have multiple Vimeo accounts or multiple Dropbox accounts with different sets of users. So that way, those then create your teams, essentially.
Can I rename them so I can tell the difference between projects, for example, on Dropbox?
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to nag on the password thing.
Mm-hmm.
Quick question. Do you fill out the form client side or server side?
Client side.
Okay, so I could catch it.
Yes.
Okay.
What's that?
Are you passing the password in clear text?
No, we store it in the database. We encrypt it before it's stored in the database. We retrieve it only on demand when the user is authorized and authenticated, that he has the ability. Then we decrypt it, we send it to the client, and then the extension actually takes over the login dialog.
One more question.
We actually have also the server-side technology, but we found out that it's less convenient because it doesn't work for some services. And finally, most of the people doesn't care. So we use for what's more convenient for users.
My question is related to how you manage user groups. So say you're in Google Apps and say you created human resources and then I add one new person. Do you have profiles? That's the first question. Second, how do you integrate with sub-platform specific things like Dropbox? I have a set of folders that are shared automatically or permissions inside those platforms.
Okay, the answer to the first question is no. So we don't have any user profiles per se. The answer to the second question is we don't, because each application, there are like 3,000 popular cloud applications. Each one of them has sort of their own UI, and that's beyond the scope of an identity and access management system to go into those systems and sort of configure these apps from within. So we only handle the authentication and authorization sort of section of that entire process.
So I imagine when you delete a user, someone leaves your company, you change the password behind the scenes. Do you have any way of like signing out the user from, say, MailChimp? Like if the password changes, will they still be logged in? Like, is that a risk at all? Or?
The first part of your question was can you say it one more time? Sorry.
So I imagine if you remove a user, it just changes the password for, say, MailChimp behind the scenes.
Yep.
But is there any risk of any services of the user's browser session like still being logged in?
Yeah. So in terms of changing a password, what most services actually do is that they require the old one. So there are 3 fields typically, put in the old one, put in the new one, put in the new one. If I'm a user, I don't know the old one because I was never given it. So I cannot change it if I'm not an admin of the app, obviously. And to answer the second part of your question about sessions, right at this moment we're not killing the session cookie. So if the session cookie is set to expire after you delete the user, then the session remains in place.
All right, thank you so much. Give them a hand.
Thank you, guys.